So if you're a huge nerd like me, then you have an interest in what goes on behind the scenes in professional wrestling. That's why we all listen to these podcasts, right? We all love the behind the scenes dirt, the backstage stuff. But I also love the technical stuff. For example, there was when CM Punk returned, there's a video that was put out of inside the production truck. There was a camera rolling, showed them like producing the whole thing, like hitting the fucking camera cues and the pyro and the music and all of that shit. I get hard on that kind of stuff. That gets my fucking wrestling dick hard. You know what I'm saying? So naturally, when Chris Jericho posted an episode this week interviewing the guy who is in charge of booking the live event tours, this piqued my curiosity. I've always had an interest in this, both for WWE and now AEW. What goes into the booking, the touring aspect of this? Fascinating shit. I still have tons of questions, but this was a very fascinating interview. I'm going to play you some of the highlights here and just kind of what goes into the psychology of booking AEW, the live event tours and that sort of thing. What does this guy do? Rafael Morffi, he's the head of AEW's live events and touring, and he came from WWE. He learned under the Vince McMahon umbrella for many years. Apparently he was around since like the early 2000s, since like the Stone Cold Rock days. He's been with WWE. Now is the guy doing the booking for AEW, and he gives us an inside look at how all of that's put together. Check out these clips.
Now, obviously, you're the guy that I always go to for ticket numbers and for ticket information. What exactly is your title?
My title is Vice President of Live Events and Touring with All Elite Wrestling.
Okay, so Vice President of Live Events and Touring. So obviously we met because you used to work for WWE.
Correct.
But first of all, explain exactly what your job is.
Sure. Job responsibilities are here with AEW to book the venues, to be the main liaison between the venue, talent, in terms of any issue, back of house, whatever it may be. But in terms of booking the venue, the local promotion of the show, things of that nature, anything and everything involving the talent, our show, and the ticket sales.
Is there certain specifications that you have to adhere to when you book buildings?
Yes, certainly. I mean, and Tony Khan does a great job communicating that to me often. Ideally, we want to be in a town that a town that has professional sports is always big. Also, a town that is within the top 25 usually in DMA. I mean, there's reasons why you may go outside of the top 25 market, a calculated risk, in that regard. So, we have to look at other facilities for reasons where we're not able to get dates.
Well, the thing is, too, we've always been smart too, and rather than playing the hockey arena in town, we play the university arena and fill it up. I mean, it seems like a smarter way to do things.
Yeah, especially when we first started. But I'll say this: coming out of the pandemic, venues were starving for programming.
Oh yeah,
starving for programming. So that's why I bring it up. Venues, and there were some that were apprehensive to book us. Just were elated to hear from us because they just wanted to get programming in. Where maybe if there wasn't a pandemic, it would have taken a little bit more time to cultivate that relationship. Right. So that helped us.
For us, we are just essentially working once a week. I know sometimes it's different. So how do you decide where to go? Do you try and kind of keep it in chronological, geographical order, or is it more like how do you kind of figure out what to do?
Well, so we would book somewhere close in a geographical area from the week prior as it got going and got rolling in terms of if we were in KC and then the next week would be in St. Louis. But you always backbook, Chris. And that was the case in WWE too. You would set your tent poles, whether it's a pay-per-view or a big show, and then book backwards to route. So at first we did that, but now Tony Khan has great analytical resources. We are going to lean on some of those in terms of data.
It's very much analytical.
Yeah. And we've been around for 4 years now. We can examine our fans, our trends, also set up variables and metrics. So we're going to lean on some of his assets and companies in that regard. Not completely, but some software in terms of helping us out, and also taking calculated risk. That's always part of the equation too. And then there's some great markets that we have to hit, strongholds like obviously New York, but Chicago. You always hear fans when we book Chicago and Jess, again this and that. I'll say this: there's not one city in America that can have $2 million gates, $2 million gates in the same summer in two different venues, like we did last year in Chicago. There's a reason why we go to Chicago a lot, because we have great venue partners there. We have great negotiations, and that's part of the equation too. We have to negotiate great deals. We have to have a certain percentage of our net back from those ticket sales, because if you're selling tickets and you only make a fraction of it.
So if you do $1 million gate, but the room costs $900,000 to rent for the night, you're really not doing so well.
Yeah, it's a reason why WWE didn't have many TVs at MSG for a decade. That was one of them.
I love that he addressed the Chicago situation too, because we all have obviously speculated about that. AEW plays Chicago like every other fucking week. And when they go there, they play fucking 7 shows in a row. But they always seem to do well there, and that's why they make a shit ton of money there. That's why. That's where they make the most money is there in Chicago. But I feel like they got it's pretty smart the way they put their whole touring together and the way that they're choosing venues and what venues that they're choosing and that sort of thing. And they are taking calculated risks. This whole Wembley Stadium thing, they threw their balls on the table for this one. That's why it's called All In. They went all in on this. That was a big, big get for AEW. Rafael Morffi, he's the guy. He puts all this shit together. He's the fucking man. That would be such a fun job to do. He says that he's working on between 15 and 20 venues at all times, monitoring ticket sales. He's the guy, he sets the pricings. He organizes the structure of what sections get released first, so that if a house doesn't sell out, that they can make it look like it's sold out on camera. That's a crazy fucking job that he's got going on. And it's got to be a fun job too, finding these venues to book. He explained the Canada situation. A lot of people were wondering why AEW did such a small venue in Canada. He basically explained like the event staff that the live events company they were working with up there wanted to see how AEW could do, and they had other shit going on too, but they also, it was first time there in the market. AEW is a new brand. What can they do? If you guys can do really good in this smaller venue, we'll have you in one of the bigger ones. I understand that, and they do. They play a lot of colleges and stuff like that. They try to avoid the big arenas, but they will play them for select events, pay-per-views. This debut of Collision, whether or not CM Punk's going to be there or not, but like the first dance. Arthur Ashe Stadium. He said that he pitched Arthur Ashe to Vince McMahon before. This was before they had put like the top on it, because it is open air, but they have like a little canopy or whatever thing over it now. And Vince shot it down because it was open air. He didn't like it. But a little insight into Madison Square Garden, because he was there. He booked WWE tours for a long time. And that's SmackDown and Raw and whatever else was going on. WWE at times has ran 3 separate tours. That's insane. In the 80s, 90s, they were doing that. He was a good get for AEW, and he says he's like the only guy doing it right now. They're still like on a shoestring budget. The shit that not budget, but shoestring crew, I should say. The fact that AEW is running on such a high level that they do not have the employees that WWE has. They don't have the infrastructure. They're still building it. They're still hiring key people and still have open positions for, I don't know that they're hiring necessarily, but there's still jobs that can be done there. They're growing. They're going to have to justify the extra costs. They got to get to that point. But AEW is a small, growing company still. It's insane what they're able to do at that level. But this was just a fucking fascinating interview. I love this kind of nerdy stuff. I love that Jericho seems to love it too. He does the interview. He did it with Dave Milliken not that long ago about the championship belts. He likes to do the anatomy of a fucking ring announcer, anatomy of a referee he's done. Like, I really like those inside looks at the business, the different aspects, the different sides. And live event touring is really fun to learn about. And it would probably be something that I would like to do in another lifetime. You know, that would have been a fun gig. But highly recommend you seek that one out if you like the insider nerdy shit. And if you clicked on this, I'm sure you do. If not, you can skip it. No big deal. But if you get off on that kind of stuff like I do, go ahead and check that out. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.